These days, I must be very careful not to judge a man or a woman from the world in which I live. You have to have empathy. It's not possible to understand another man's decisions, his perspectives on the social world, his values, his meaning. They are individual specific. They are predicated on the social performer's own specific DNA, the environment in which he lives, he or she, the conditioning factor, history, and very importantly, constitutional factors, temperament, the givens. It's an incontestable fact. Environment trumps biology. The appearance, the phenotype, meaning the social behaviors, meaning the stature or the height, meaning the clothes, the appearance, the way the clothes fit, and if they are functional for our gentleman in question. The biggest mistake made is to compare yourself. You have to, at point of death, win your own reality, win your own personality and style. You can watch how the other performer performs, how he wins, finagles, hustles, uses his dishonesty, uses treachery, deviousness, deliberate lies to meet his ends. What's in it for me? Personal self-interest. There's no right or wrong here. There's no good or bad. There's no in or out. There's only one question. Vince Lombardi is correct. Did we win or did we lose? Then there comes the issue of a philosophy to brace yourself, to brace that loss on. You take that loss and milk it. Interrogate the hell out of that loss. Hold it prisoner. Question it. Do not succumb to it. Do not become discouraged and disillusioned because of the loss. Take it back to the drawing board. I like, in this context, the Gestalt experiences in the here and now. Psychodrama done my way. Practical, street smart. I have to know exactly the correct hardcore interrogations I must give to myself to find out, under my own power, exactly what went wrong, exactly what happened. And he has to stand up to the results he's going to find there. I listen to my opponents out there in the social world, my social gadflies, my social critics, my social mockers, who will stereotype and caricature me for whatever their purpose is. I remember one thing. There's a lot of truth in the sadism projected by my social opponents. They see something that I may be missing. I may not be paying enough attention to it. From this point on, not meaning any offense to anybody, I'm going to use a different idiom to speak because I get a better rhythm out of speaking in this way. When I goes to the dances when I was a young man, I has to realize that I am a short, ugly, disadvantaged man by appearance. If I is a fool and I compares myself and I thinks I have an entitlement, I thinks it should be fair, I is making the worst mistake I could possibly make. So what does I do? I tries to go to Madison Avenue and gets my talismans, my secret clothes, my magic clothes that the successful players out there, because I see them, and specifically getting the women's. This is what happened to Elliot Rodger, by the way. But he's just a kid. He thought he had an entitlement. I've seen so many dudes come to the dances that I used to go to, so many dances in New York. The dance halls. I would have died happy if I could get just one slow dance. I ends up dancing with myself. The movie Marty with the great Ernest Borgnine was one of the most purest stories I've ever seen in my life. And God bless him, that's why we loves our mamas. You mama always tries to encourage you. I remember many a times I'm getting ready to go to the dance, and I tells me, Mama, I'm a short, ugly man, Mama. I got no appearance. I got no personality. How can I approach as any woman? And I used the Quasimodo approach when I went to the dances. I came out of the shadows. And stuck my hand and approached the women out of the shadows. And just like Marty Paletti in the great movie Marty with Ernest Borgnine, I had to gear up to approach any woman. And then, after being rejected over and over again, brutally rejected, it's called the Quasimodo rejection. It's called a repulsive visceral response rejection. You dance fuck it style. Goes up to every woman in the house. I goes and asks for a dance. You don't want to dance. You won't want to dance with me, would you? Nah. Hey, how about you? Would you like to dance? No, not with you. How about you? Would you like to dance? No, not with you. Well, I advise you one thing. Don't come to any dance hall with your partners. because she'll be the Mama Luke of the dance hall. And many times I will get out on the floor and dance with a chair. So wants to get a dance. And many times I takes my coat off and I dances with my jacket. Then we become the victims of the marketplace. The models, these assholes, dress like us. Put your fancy new clothes on, and all the women's be coming to you. Doesn't work out that way. I ends up at the Tango Palace or the Honeymoon Lanes, where I pays for my dances. And if I wants to get a little sexy on the dance floor, that's gonna cost me extra. Was an admission to get in, and then you buys your tickets for your dances. And you cleaves and garnishes all the memories you possibly can, because you're going to need those memories later. You have to learn to give to yourself what the environment will not give you, predicated on your appearance, your personality, your style, the fit of your clothes, the way you smell. Now, women's have razor eyes for detail. And the one thing, and I'm from New York, buddy, I'm from the Bronx and I'm from Brooklyn and Manhattan. You're not giving anything away. There is no such thing, and it's the biggest fairy tale ever been told. And it's told specifically to a disenfranchised man to encourage him. Sonny, mind your education, Sonny. Become a doctor. Become a lawyer. Get a Park Avenue practice. Drive Mercedes. Get you custom-made clothes. You walk down Park Avenue, won't nobody laugh at you. Although you only 5 feet 3 inches, got a big belly, a big head, and a moon face. Everything I'm mentioning is viscerally repulsive to most women. And when I'm talking Manhattan woman, buddy, I'm talking some of the toughest women you're going to find this side of the world. Very judgmental. Your competition, horrendous. Money, style, appearance, personality, and I mean slick showmanship personality. I'm talking sociopathic personality right here. Carries the day. It's the standard. I'm telling you, TDH, tall, dark, and handsome. That bum. That maggot controls the expectancies and the realities. What happened to Elliot Rodger? He tried to fit himself into the world, into the standards of the jock. Gets himself the cool clothes, quote unquote, the cool car, the BMW. He mentions his fancy Gucci glasses, Nordstrom clothes, stylized haircut. He wants the tall blonde, The kid bought all the conditionings. And I remembers when I was 21, I'm an old man now, when I was 21, we all wanted to be like Elvis. And Elvis, the young Elvis, if you watch the movies very closely, he's a phony. But we didn't know that at the time. And we wanted to be like him. So what does we do when we gets in the train, the subway? If you see any woman come in, them little shorties like me, we gets up and we starts to shake. Well, it's a 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, now go, get go, don't you? Can you imagine that, singing in a subway train like that to attract the women? The women's thought we were crazy. All these little shorties, these little shorty Elvises. Then we wanted to be cool and hip like Mr. Sinatra. You buy your fancy, shocking pink shirt and your fancy alligator shoes, your green trouser, your Garrison belt. That's a fighting belt, man, in my day, from the Bronx. You put on your fat back. That makes us all looks like we has a big ass. That was in at that time. And you takes yourself down to Manhattan and you strolls up and down the avenue, my man. Let's all the Manhattan women's take a look at us. We sure to get something. Ends up in the automat with a cup of coffee and a Danish and talks about what went wrong. The social philosophers who talks about what went wrong. The point of what I'm saying is life is a compensation. Here's what I would advise Elliot Rodger, if he came to me now. I'd say, Elliot, you're 21. If I heard about the day of retribution, if I heard about what his kind of, I would identify with Elliot. I'd identify with him. This is the mistake a lot of your professionals who can't see the forest for the trees make. I would take and identify with the boy. I'd say, Elliot, I can see how you feel. I can understand your entitlement. And then I would come in, take my world and come into his. And I would tell him, Elliot, now I want your son, listen to me and listen very closely. Don't come to talk to me unless you give me something to work with. Son, I need you to start lifting weights. I need you to get born again hard. You got no muscle on you, you little twerp, 130-pound little twerp. I don't blame the jocks for laughing at you. I don't blame the women for running away from you with repulsion. I'm a little man myself. I'm 5'3", an ugly man. Boy, do I wish I had a BMW like you. Boy, do I wish my dad was a millionaire like yours. Ooh, do I wish I had a stepmother like Samoya. Beautiful. And have the fantasy that maybe Samoya will fix me up with some of her beautiful girlfriends in that world. I'd say, son, but putting all that aside, you must put all that aside. You see how I'm coming into his world? I'm talking in terms of his greed. I'm talking in terms of his personal self-interests and nothing else. I'm not thinking about the blondes. I'm not thinking about the jocks. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not thinking about, and let me tell you something in this context. The smartest question and the best question you could ask. And here we go. This will make me or break me, but I truly believe this. A 12-year-old kid. Now, I'm going back to my day in the 50s. I don't know how it is now. I can't speak for now. I'm going back to the 50s. And the best question you could ask that kid, get ready, here it comes. Son, do you date? Do you masturbate? Have you ever felt inferior about your size? I don't mean your physical size. I'm talking about your sexual size. How do you know? Have you ever compared? That question, said in precisely the way I'm saying it, to a 12-year-old kid, opens the Pandora's box, in my opinion. It breaks the kid down, because this may come as a shock. It shouldn't, but it may come as a shock. That is precisely the age when that particular question, asked in that particular way, becomes the most important of all. And then I watches very closely the body language. I watches very closely the words. The next move is, of course, the kid will probably tell his mother, probably tell his father. And then the father, because of phony pride, because of intolerance, because of stupidity, because of vanity, will come down to, how dare you talk to my son like that? You better watch yourself. I'm gonna press you. Hell, fuck you, you stupid bastard. Step back, Pop, and think about what the philosophy, the inquiry, the importance of what's behind that question. Don't be so quick to project your stupidity, your intolerance. You think you know, Pop. You think you know your inflexibility before you understand what is being attempted here. How do I know this? How am I certain of this? Because I myself, now listen very closely to what I'm saying, I myself was a victim of that. That's right. I was myself a victim of Victorian attitude, Emily Post morality, which I'm sorry to say in this day and age, with the great Howard Stern, and I'm an admirer of this man because of he's pushed the envelope open. I'm an admirer of what happened in the 60s. All that crap had to be challenged. It's never went away. It's still there, buried in the shadows. I challenge it. And that's what's behind that question. But the stupidity, the intolerance of the father, defending his son, 12 years old, and comes to me, you better watch what you're saying. You better be careful. And you know what I'm talking about. And I looks back at him and says, fuck you. Do you know what I'm talking about? And I tell him, shut up, man. Now listen to me. I've listened to you. I've listened to your intolerance, your stupidity, your shallow thinking. Now you take and listen to me. And then I would go on with exactly what I'm saying right now and stand behind every word of it.